A good name is better than precious ointment. I'm sure you heard all the testimonies. The day of death is better than the day of birth. I've wondered why the Bible said this. Verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. I've also wondered why it is better to attend a funeral than to attend a party. But this one, the Bible gives us the answer. For that is the end of all men. All of us are going to end up there. And the living may lay it to heart. It gives us an opportunity to reflect on our future. Verse 3. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. So people who want to live a better life, who want transformation, who want to be better human beings, you can't just live in the world of party, excitement, and laughter. You don't have moments of solitude. You don't have moments of reflections. Burials is one of those special moments that God provided for all of us to reflect all over again on our life. You know, when I got to finally got to Asia the first time, and then I think the news of how he passed on hit me very hard. That was early morning of Sunday. He was preparing for a service. He was preparing for a service. He has prepared the sermon, but he never got to the church to preach it. And for many of us that are pastors and leaders, because we have the privilege of preaching to other people, but the man that is preparing for other people must be prepared too. Today is very special. I would not miss it for anything in this world. When I got to the mortuary and they brought out his body, apart from, I actually came there to pray, to, you know, by the time, I was having a lot of struggle, because by the time the first day had gone, the second day had gone, and 1 week had gone, I have faced such situations before. But I knew that the first person Jesus raised from the dead was dead. He hasn't gone. And when you're praying for people who are dead, those are the best opportunity. They have not gone far. Sometimes they just died in the hospital or in an accident or whatever. Beautiful. And that was Jairus' daughter. But then the second person Jesus raised from the dead has been dead for a long time. Actually, it was during funeral. And they were carrying that young man to go and bury. He now met them on the way. It was somebody's only child, only son. The widow was crying, following that casket. And he stopped it and brought the young man back to life. But the third and the final was Lazarus. This is a person that had been buried and has rotten for 4 days. Which normally, even if you are a giant in the faith, you don't have faith for such things. But Jesus called him back to life. And I was there wondering why we are still looking for visa. 4 days passed. 4 days passed. When 4 days passed, I said, okay, Jesus said we can do greater works than him. So when I got there, I wasn't even in that fighting mood again. I was just there looking at him and looking at myself. One day, this will be me. This will be me. And where is him? And I was calling him, praying, talking to him. The man has gone. And one day it will be me. You know, opportunity to visit those who are sick in the hospital. Opportunity to visit funerals. Opportunity to visit mortuary. Preaches more than all the preachers in the world. Let me use this opportunity to mention something and then I'll go. There are 4 books in the New Testament. The whole Bible is broken into 8 major books. 4 in the New Testament, 4 in the Old. 4 in the New, 4 in the Old. The first in the New is called the Law. There are 5 books. Genesis, Exodus, all the way to Deuteronomy. The Pentateuch. The second set of books are the prophets. The third set of books are the wisdom books. I read for one of them, Ecclesiastes. There's a reason why I'm telling you this now. Each of these books have their own message. If you want to know what is right and wrong, if you want to know the moral laws of God, you read the first 5 books. That's the first 5 books of Moses, Genesis to Deuteronomy. If you want to know the future, not only the future of our world, the future of Israel and how everything, you read the prophets. But if you want to deal with the affairs of this life and succeed, you read the wisdom books. There are 5. You have Proverbs, you have Ecclesiastes. Then in the middle, you have Job. After Job, you have the book of Psalm and Songs of Solomon. In the New Testament, you also have 4 sets of books. Of course, what completes the Old Testament is the last book we call the historical. These ones kept the records of everything that God has, all the dealings of God with the children of Israel. It started with the book of Joshua, the book of Judges, the book of Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Then you have people like Esther, Nehemiah, and the book of the priest. What's his name? Ezra. 12 of them. They all have their purposes. In the New Testament, the 4 books that represent the New Testament canon, like the law, are the 4 Gospels. Then where the prophets wrote their books in the Old Testament, it is the apostles that wrote in the New Testament. They call them the epistles. The epistles. So God used the prophets in the Old Testament to write. He used the apostles. The historical books in the New Testament is 1. That's what is called the Acts of Apostles, that kept the record of all the dealings of God from the day the Holy Spirit came all to the end. And then the final book is the book of Revelation. What is the essence of the wisdom book? I want you guys to hear this. Everybody listen to me. Everybody listen to me. Whether you are a preacher or you are just listening. There are questions about life. For example, the man that we are honoring today, saying bye-bye to, left in the middle of his life. I just had a discussion with him few weeks before I heard this news. What is the discussion? That his assignment, he told me that he has, because he has burned over 10 years in South Africa. If you go there, he just finished dedicating a brand new church. I promised him I was going to come and do a major program for him after he built that building. So what we're discussing is that his time, he has finished his assignment in South Africa. He has had that discussion with his family. The man is a doctor, is a PhD. Some news. What kind of news is that? What kind of news is that? Now, in ministry, there are things, even in Christian life, and even in life, there are things that are confusing. There is nothing like God told anybody anywhere. I said, okay, did he know when he was talking to me that his time here? But if he knew, why didn't he? We're talking about the next phase, not about leaving the earth. Now, I want to answer a question because even theologians find it hard answering questions like this when things like this happen. And you need to know that the man we are following passed on at the age of 33. He left his followers, left his apostles confused. Of course, the man that was going to take up the ministry after him, Peter, went back to his profession of fishing, abandoned the ministry. The reason Peter kept on with ministry after going back to fishing is because Jesus rose from the dead. I want us to know that there is something about Christianity that is at the heart of it. And if that thing is not there, even me here, I will not be here preaching. I will not be a preacher. That thing is the fact that there is resurrection from the dead. This thing does not end here. It 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 does not end here. Christianity has conquered death. Christianity has hope beyond the grave. And those who are preaching the gospel must be able to preach it completely. What causes us to be shattered is that we're only planning for this side of life. We don't look at eternity. The modern church and most of the teachings is about success and how to succeed on this side of life. You're only preaching half truth. What you're preaching is true, but it's half truth. Here is what I want to show us. When you come to the wisdom books, the primary wisdom book, and Solomon wrote it at the prime of his life as a young man. When God blessed him with wisdom, he was wiser than any man that has ever lived. Is the book of Proverbs. The message of that book is that there is something, a law, something invisible that is not obvious to the natural eyes that is governing this universe. And that's what is called wisdom. And he discussed it in that whole book. This thing he calls wisdom is God's moral law, a combination of his spiritual, moral, and natural laws that God created that governs this universe. Can anybody just come up with a phone, please? Just watch. Ladies and gentlemen. Sir, please, thank you. But I'm going to do something radical. If it breaks, I'll buy you another one. Just watch now. This is a phone. I don't know. This might be very costly, but I'm going to leave it. It fell. What made it fall? There is a law. We don't see it with our eyes called gravity that just bring this down. And how you will know that there is a law in operation is that if you take this TV up, it fall. If you carry that wood up, it fall. If you carry a human being up, when you see something happening consistently, there is a hidden law in operation there. Now, wisdom is understanding what is in operation here and learning to cooperate with it. So there are laws for success. There are laws for marriage. There are laws for leadership. There are laws of morality, like moral laws. For example, the 10 Commandments. You can see now, I just told you when I got to the hospital, to the mortuary, and they brought out his body, and I was looking at it. It was now an opportunity for me to preach to myself. Because this is somebody that prepared a sermon, woke up early, and got ready to go and preach, and he never delivered the last sermon. There are some men of God on their way to program. There are some men of God after different situations after preaching a sermon. And then it was my own preaching. I came to help him, but he was the one helping me. I came to save him. He was the one saving me. He was the one preaching to me. Because there is a law there. You will only be wise to pay attention because you're also going to end up there. There is a spiritual law of sin and death. And because Adam brought this law into motion, all human beings born of Adam will go through that. I thought that the Son of God, who is Jesus Christ, should have been exempted from it. So it will do you good. Wisdom now is learning those laws. And even if you don't understand everything about it, to learn to live your life in submission to them. Because you see, if I argue against gravity and go and jump out from a height, what happens is that the law destroys you because these laws are no respecter of persons. There are laws of health. There are laws of success. So the book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs, is to teach you, if you do this, this is how you end up. If you obey God, you will succeed. And he summarized by letting us know that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If you serve God, for example, you are going to end up this way. You are going to be blessed. Your preachers preach. But among the wisdom books, there is one book called the book of Job. Yet, it is as solid as the book of Proverbs. What is the message of the book of Job? The message of the book of Job is that bad things can happen to good people. Can I say it again? The message of the book of Job is that there is 1% exception to the general rule taught by Proverbs. So they introduced that book with a perfect man that feared God. A man that loved God, feared God, and God blessed him. He was very prosperous. Then all of a sudden, the man we call the devil went to the presence of God, had discussion with God, and after that discussion, he left. Next thing, Job lost all his children. He had 10 children. All of them died in one day. What will you do if you're a preacher and you have lived all your life in integrity, walked in righteousness, and you lose all your children, your whole children, not even that they left one boy for you, 7 boys, 3 girls, all of them in one day? You know what we'll do? You tear your Bible, you tear your cloth. If you're an ordained man, tear the cloth and go back to fishing like Peter. Because why did Peter tear his clerical calling, abandon the call, and go back to fishing? Oh, a whole son of God, the person that preached, raised the dead, walked on water, did all these miracles, the one that we left everything to follow. Look at how he died. But today, we look back to that death and we call it Good Friday. Because the book of Job tells you that when tragedy happens, that is not the end of the story. It's like a person that is watching a movie and he got to a point where everything looks so bad. Don't conclude the story there. It has not ended. The end of our journey is the resurrection of the dead. What helped Job in the midst of all that is that he said, the Lord gave, the Lord take it. And he said, blessed be the name of the Lord. And then he made one statement that shocked me. He said, though he slays me, yet will I trust him. And Job said that because of one thing. He now wrote in his book, because even on that final day, I will still behold him. If you don't have hope beyond the grave, this life will take you out. There are some confusing things that happen in this life. I know it's 1% that defies the rule of proverb. But do you know what 1% of 8 billion people looks like? 10% will be 800 million. So 1% is 8 million. When you have 8 million exceptions to a rule, if you share it out to the number of countries we have on earth, if we have about 200 countries, you will see each country getting about 400,000 examples. Why did Stephen die? He is a man of God. Okay, how come God forgave the man that killed him and he became an apostle, Apostle Paul? Why will you forgive him? He should have died too. So the Lord explained this thing to me, and one of the things he taught me is, in life, the highest and the most honored people, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. This is not the first time we've lost pastors. It doesn't mean I go around attending all funeral. I don't. There are a lot of other pastors, and we all have our own responsibilities. That's one of the reasons I'm here. The people that are dearest to me, the people that I honor the most, the people that I hold in the highest honor, not only in Dominion City, but all over the kingdom, are missionaries. Missionaries. I came here to honor a missionary extraordinary. That's the point. I'm a missionary myself. I'm not sitting, don't have any church, neither do I have any congregation. That's why you see me everywhere. In a couple of weeks now, it's the nation of Uganda, Kenya, Mombasa, and all of that. Missionaries. This is how the Lord explained it to me. When difficult times come up in every nation, there are people who will be called upon to leave the comfort of their family, leave the comfort of life, volunteer their life in risky businesses. One of them is the military, to prevent killing of civilians again in the future. A group of people will have to put their life down, and some of them will not come back. But the work they do is what end up providing salvation, security for others. Soldiers, when COVID hit the world, there are people They call them first responders, doctors, that will have to go in the battlefront and face this thing head on. When Ebola entered Nigeria, the person, that lady that was taken out, if I'm correct, was a medical doctor. Is she a medical doctor? That one man brought death that could have killed millions of people. But another woman put her life down to be able to stop what would have killed the rest of us from going. That's why such people in heaven are given special honors. And that's where our Lord Jesus falls in. He could have come here. After all, he was God. He was the controller of life. Live 1,000 years, drive Rolls Royce, build estates, and then at the end of the day, what you'll be reading is how many estates and how many cars he has. Is that what you read about the apostles? Is that what you read about Jesus? Is that what you read about Stephen, Peter, Paul, or any of those Christians? Why did they all die for this cause? Today, salvation can come to millions of people because of their sacrifices. We have missionaries that brought the gospel to us here. Some of them died of malaria. I was reading about one particular woman that had only 2 boys. And they were doctors. So when they came to their church to look for missionaries that would come to Africa, the first son went. And he died. When they finished the burial, when they brought back the body back to England and they finished all that, you know what she said? He said, Lord, I don't have any child anymore left in my womb. I've passed the age of bearing. But this boy has a brother. And they are talking about somebody to go and replace him in the mission field. Let his brother also go. Why would somebody do that kind of thing? Why would the family of Peter donate Peter and donate Andrew, 2 boys? Why would the family of John donate John and donate James, and all of them died as martyrs? Why will the family of Jesus donate 3? Do you know that after he was crucified, his brother James became an apostle? He became the pastor of Jerusalem church. His younger brother Jude became an apostle. Whenever you read the epistle of James, that's the younger brother of Jesus. When you read the epistle of Jude, that's the younger brother of Jesus. Why will a family that just lost their firstborn at the age of 33 donate 2 more? What do they know about it? Why will a woman say, my son has died to bring the gospel to these Africans, let his younger brother go? And his younger brother went. Why will you do that? Why is it that when soldiers die in the battlefield, we know that they died, we recruit more people to go? Why did they put the book of Job among the book of wisdom? Whatever wisdom you have, and all your wisdom can teach you is how to succeed in this side of life. You are not yet wise. Until you have prepared for death, you are not prepared for life. Can I say it again? Until you have prepared for death, you have not prepared for life. Until you have prepared for death, you have not prepared for life. The Bible provided answer for all of this. And this is the last thing I'll tell you. All undeserved suffering. All. Take note of that. Because when our life is laid down for a greater cause, whether it is in the health sector, whether it is in the military, don't think it's only in ministry that people die. Security is another field of calling where people's lives. People are laying down their lives. That's why I respect the police. I respect those in uniform. Because when you see them, sometimes you forget that this is somebody's father. This is somebody's brother. Especially if you like to waste the life of policemen. If you like to waste the life of security men, you forget that that's somebody's. He's doing that job. I know that some of them abuse their job. There are many fields. Many fields. There are people working inside gold mine, and sometimes the gold mine collapses on all of them. There are people walking inside the middle of the sea, inside water. There are people walking in the moon and in space. So it's not only ministry that you find challenging and risky, but there is something that is a law that undergirds life and death. All undeserved suffering, all has redemptive value. If you see an armed robber die for his crime, his death can't save anybody. The reason the death of Jesus can save the world is that he was not dying for his sins. I want you guys to take note of that. Isaiah 57, please put it up. Oh, I need to go. Okay. All undeserved suffering. If you lay your life down for a worthy cause, that life that is laid down produces redemption, salvation for people that are left behind. All undeserved suffering. So for those who like justice, who like to question God and say, God, where are you? You are supposed to be a just God. You are a fair God. This is what we have read throughout the Bible. What is going on? You also have to understand that there are some things God does in his wisdom we don't understand here. When we all finally meet, we will see. Because that day, I would like to know, why did they crucify Peter upside down? But the whole of Europe got the gospel after he did that. Why did they have to behead Apostle Paul? Why was Stephen martyred? This young man came out to serve you. And while you are asking that, God will ask you, why do you think I allowed my son to be crucified on the cross? That is what salvation costs. That is what redemption costs. But to protect them, to prolong them, a group of people will have to rise up and risk their own life. That's why on that day, when it is a judgment day, it is not the civilians that will be awarded crowns and honors. It is a time for pacifying. And other warriors, other generals that fought and laid down their life for the redemption of others. One good thing about this self-sacrifice is that some people lay it and go to war, some sustain wounds, bullet wound, and still come out alive. Some people have gone and lived till old age, who fought in battles, in front lines. It's not everybody that went to Nigerian Civil War that died, whether it's on the Nigerian side or on the Biafran side. But one other thing that we can tell you is that if you enlist in the army, there is no guarantee that you will be the one that will survive. If you enlist in the army, there is no guarantee. If this is going to make some people who want to take ordination to think twice, let them do it. If you enlist in the army of any country, there is no guarantee. The military does not promise you life. As a matter of fact, the person we are following said, I was not forced to come and do this. It's of my own will. I laid down my life that I might take it up. That I might take it up is where I leave us tonight. If there is no resurrection, then dying like this is foolish death. But God left certain things in nature to teach us that there is a resurrection. You take a seed, put it in the ground, it dies. If you go the next day or 2 days or 3 days after and open up that place where you planted, what you see is manure. Just like the same way, when we bury people, you go there and look at their body. You see manure. You see skeleton. But you cover the soil, leave it. Rain falls on it. After a while, that thing that has just died, a new life, you call it tree, comes out of it. That's what resurrection. That's why everywhere in the Bible they use planting a seed to illustrate it. Today we know something called recycling. Brother Mike, if you burn water now, you're cooking, and you fill a pot with water, you can heat it, boil, and finally it all evaporates and is gone. Spirit has gone back to spirit. Water is gone. That thing that vanished will condense, and that's what finally comes back like fresh rainfall that we call rain. They have discovered it in science and found that the matter cannot be destroyed. Actually, one of them said, matter cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. When you say that this stone that you have destroyed or this iron that you have destroyed, you have not. It breaks down back into its constituent elements, and from where you can create that thing all over again. Now, in human beings, they have traced it to something called DNA. How is it that during resurrection, that everybody will come back and will be able to recognize who is Pastor David, who is Pastor Ifeanyi, who is everywhere? Because once a tiny particle, those of you who are doctors know, of your DNA is preserved, you can be reproduced all over again. It's like the architectural drawing of a building. You can burn a building with fire. As long as you have the architectural drawing stored somewhere, you can reproduce that building. It's so serious that we can come to this man and take only a pinch of blood only. Not even his hand or head. From your blood, your whole you can be reproduced. Now they do cloning. They do all of that. Yet we don't yet understand the secret of life. But the person that created life is the one that